Yo, welcome back. We are one day removed. The NFL draft concluded yesterday, and we were back for another show. We really wanted to kind of talk to you guys today and kind of, let's mock. Let's see where these rookies slot in based off of landing spot. We've got everything, right? There was a couple of late round guys that could impact your dynasty rookie drafts. And I know that some of the feedback, I put a video out yesterday, 2 days ago, about instant reaction. The feedback was the music was too loud and it was hard to hear. So you're not going to get any fucking music anymore. No more music. We're just doing this shit straight. Again, we're not going to spend a whole bunch of time with the players in round one. It's a lot of the usual suspects, but in round two and round three, hopefully we'll dive into some more analysis for those players. And again, this is a fluid situation, right? We still don't have training camp. We're still trying to figure out what's going to happen at the start of the season. But right now, rookie drafts are taking place, and I'm in two right now, and they've all been completely different. So for the sake of this exercise, we're going to be doing a PPR Superflex mock draft, and I've got my better half of Destination Debbie with me,
Oh,
Jordan
stop
Richards.
it. Oh, stop
Jordan
it. I'm gonna
Richards is
have to
here.
stop you right there. Better half. Get out of here.
The better half, the man who
No,
makes all
man.
the magic happen behind the scenes. But
I just try to
let's
make it look pretty, baby. That's it.
well,
Don't
we
worry about it.
appreciate it. So let's get into it. And you got the 101 Superflex. Where are you going?
All right, number one, I'm sticking with my number one quarterback on the board, and that is Tua Tagovailoa, who got drafted at 105 to Miami. They're building around that guy the right way. They drafted him at 105, showing he's healthy. They're doing everything right now. They drafted 2 offensive linemen early in the draft. They already have weapons. All they really need to do is add a running back. But honestly, for me, I could see them next year going first-round wide receiver, and we already know the talent coming out of the 2021 class, and it's going to be absolutely crazy. They could really find that next alpha if Devontae Parker isn't it. I think Tua is the perfect quarterback for the long term over Joe Burrow rather than just people looking a little bit short-sighted by taking Joe Burrow 101.
Oh boy, starting it off spicy and hot. Listen, I don't hate it because Tua is my personal quarterback one. And I think Miami investing in that top 5 pick shows you that they're not concerned about the health. I like everything that they're doing, building with the offensive line. They've got weapons. Hey, I'm not going to pass on Burrow here at 102. You left him for me, so I'll take Burrow with Higgins, with John Ross, with Tyler Boyd. I know I've had conversations in the past about, maybe Jonathan Taylor at the 101, and I still think, depending on team construct, that's still very much a real possibility. In a rookie draft that I'm in right now in my home league at 102, I'm pretty set at quarterback. I got Dak and Goff, and my team is stacked, and I passed on quarterback and took Edwards-Helaire. So not going to knock you at Tua, but I am happy to take Burrow at the 102. So who do you got at 103?
Man, you're making this real hard for me. I got all the tough picks at the beginning. I know, at least for me right now, this is probably the most debatable spot in the draft, whether you're super flex or whether you're in your regular PPR leagues, because you got to choose between Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jonathan Taylor. For me, I'm a JT guy. I've always been a JT guy. I know there's people that are going to say that Jonathan Taylor isn't the pick because he's not going to catch as many passes. For me, I believe that even a year down the road, he's going to be a 50, 60 catch guy. Maybe not in year one, but down the road, he'll be a 50, 60 catch guy. He's going to really improve his skills. Obviously, this past season, he caught, I believe, 26 passes. There's no reason to say he can't catch 50 passes next year. He probably won't, but even in that Wisconsin offense where he wasn't really used as a 3-down back, he still caught 26 passes. They made ways to get him the ball, and that's why I'm taking JT, the workhorse, Mr. 2K himself, Mr. Doak Walker Award winner, JT at the 103.
Yeah, can't knock it. Anybody who takes JT running behind Quentin Nelson and Costanzo and that offensive line and then improve receiving core with Michael Pittman, you can't knock it, right? But it makes my decision at 104 very easy, and I'm going to take CEH, first running back drafted, playing on the best offense in the NFL. And a lot of people had concerns about Clyde because of the offense he played in at LSU being wide-ass open and creating running lanes and opportunities for him out of the backfield. He goes from one wide-ass open offense to another with Kansas City, playing on the best offense. Goal line opportunities are going to be plentiful. And I can't think of the exact metric and number that it is, but I know that each reception equals however many carries that a running back gets. And the longevity of a player like that, I think he's going to age well, tethered to the best quarterback that we've seen in the NFL in a long time. CEH 104.
Yeah, even
You're
just to
up.
build off of that, man, like you're looking at, like you got to think about it. Running back of the carry has to gain 10 yards to count for one reception at 0 yards. So
Yep.
whatever the exact metric is, you definitely can tell PPR is the way to go. And so I
Yep.
totally get
Yep.
that spot. For me, 105, I think I've been struggling with this one. I really like Cam Akers as a prospect a lot, but I'm starting to be fearful that it's going to be more of a committee going forward. And so for that reason, I'm taking J.K. Dobbins at 105. Even though he may not be the workhorse the first year, I think second year and beyond, he's going to be that workhorse back. He's obviously tied to Lamar Jackson. Read option with those two guys is literally the exact same as read option with Justin Fields. You can't stop it. There's no way you're going to be able to ever stop it. Once they start creating things for J.K. Dobbins, he's going to be an absolute force in the NFL. He could be a 250, 300 touch guy, no problem. He handled that workload in college. I think he's going to sustain that in the NFL. Maybe not in year one, but definitely in year two and beyond.
Love the pick. He's my he moved up to running back 3 for me. And everything that you just said in that offense, he's going from a similar offense in college at Ohio State to the Ravens. They're gonna run the ball, and it may not happen in 2020 for Dobbins with Ingram there, who's still very capable. But by 2021, it's going to be the J.K. Dobbins show, and you're probably looking at probably a top 10 running back. So can't hate that. And then where are we at? 106, 105,
Yeah.
106.
Yeah, 106.
106. I'm gonna take D Swift. I'm gonna take D Swift, and I know the Detroit landing spot kind of sucks because we don't really trust Matt Patricia, and they still have on Johnson there, and we know that Swift will eventually replace on, but I don't think it's going to happen outright here in year one. But I'm betting on the talent of DeAndre Swift, so that's where I'm going right here. 10 whatever pick this is, DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, see, it's funny, man. You see a lot. I've seen a couple mocks where he's going like 110, and even in the second round in some Superflex leagues. And it's just because people were really sour initially on that Detroit landing spot. But I think it's a little bit overblown. And when you look at his carry counts in college, he's only sitting at 35, 40% most of the time. So even if he is in that, people want to comp him to Alvin Kamara, and that is an aggressive comp. But if he can sustain his success in college in the NFL level, which isn't likely, but even still, he's used to having a lesser carry load, but still producing at a very high level. So I love that pick. And so obviously I already kind of expanded on it earlier, but I have to go with Cam Akers here. There's no way around it. He's a top 5 running back as far as I'm concerned. He should be going above Keyshawn Vaughn still. His talent is just undeniable. At Florida State, what he had to deal with was just ridiculous. And then obviously going to the Rams, he's going to deal with a similar situation, but I believe that they're going to be able to improve that offense significantly. He may not be the bell cow right away. He may not be a bell cow at all. But I think with that draft capital, with them trading up to get him especially, they're going to be looking for him. And people need to remember, they took him over J.K. Dobbins. They had a chance to take a player that people view as more productive, more successful in college for a guy who is unsuccessful, has vision issues, and needs to do things. But either way, at the next level, he's going to be a dynamite weapon with the ball in his hands, working with Goff, working with Cooper Kupp, working with McVay. He's going to be an excellent weapon at the NFL level. That's why I'm going with Akers there at 107.
I like it. I like it. I've got a lot of Akers, both of those leagues, and I ended up with Cam Akers. So happy about that. At 108, I'm going to take Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Chargers. It is super flex, and don't make the mistake that a lot of people made last year with Daniel Jones not liking him, the player. Justin Herbert is a top 6 NFL draft pick. He's on an offense that I think is dynamic. You've got Eckler, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and then they drafted running back Joshua Kelly and a late round steal who's probably going to slot in at the slot position in KJ Hill. So super flex formats. I'm taking running backs and quarterbacks over any of the receivers. It's just that's how I roll. I think you can find value in this receiver class a little bit later, but not so much for the quarterback position. So Burrow and Herbert, I'm happy about that at 108.
All right, so I think at 109, then I'm going to have to go and take your boy right now. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to take Jalen Reagor out of Philly. He's going to be the alpha there. There's no questions about it. That 4-3 speed is going to translate to the next level. He can play inside, outside. He can get the ball in screens, reverses. Obviously, if they want to use him in that RPO game, he's definitely going to excel there as well on slants and crossing routes. There's no way I can pass up on Jalen Reagor. He was our wide receiver 2 coming in. He's now my wide receiver 1 ahead of CeeDee Lamb, with CeeDee ending up in Dallas. I just can't pass up on Reagor. I wouldn't blame someone if they took Vaughn, if they took Jeudy even, if they took Lamb. But for me, it's Reagor 101 all day. He's got to be my wide receiver 1 with that landing spot in Philly. He's just tied to a great quarterback, great offense. love Reagor there at 109.
Yeah, smart pick. I like it too. And like you said, tied to a young quarterback in that offense, having the draft capital, his speed, it's going to happen for him sooner rather than later. And after Herbert's off the board, I don't hate the pick. For me, at 110, I'm going to make a gamble here because I think my player will fall to me at 112, and I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb. I'm not concerned about the landing spot. Elite players and elite offenses. He's better than Michael Gallup, flat out. He's better than Michael Gallup, and I know Gallup had an 1,100-yard season last year, but Dallas's offense is arguably probably the best offense outside of Kansas City in the NFL, at least on paper. And I am not concerned about CeeDee Lamb one bit. They can get out of Amari Cooper's contract in 2 years, and by that point in time, he's acclimated. He's the alpha. He's dynamic. He's fantastic. My wide receiver 2 in the class. I'd be happy to get CeeDee Lamb at the 10 spot in the Superflex league.
Yeah, man, it's crazy to think that CeeDee Lamb's actually that's gonna be his spot. I don't see him going much higher than that in drafts unless someone's reaching for him above some of those running backs. But at 110, I think I'm gonna have to roll with Keyshawn Vaughn. I've been seeing a lot of people.
Damn, you got me. I've been
seeing a lot of people putting him in the second round, and I can't believe it. There's no way. He's just too talented of a runner. He played against some of the best defenses in the league. And I want to take Justin Jefferson. I want to take Jeudy, but man, Vaughn, honestly, if you're in a 1 QB league, should probably be your 6th pick off the board. You can take a wide receiver over him, but I think it's going to be a mistake. But if you have a late first pick or even early second, you still may get Vaughn, but that's got to be my pick, man. Playing in Tampa Bay with Brady, with all those weapons outside, adding Gronk, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, now adding Tyler Johnson, who people think could be a bit of a sleeper, even though the spot's not the best. I got to take Vaughn. He's going to open up great things. He can pass block a little bit. He can catch. He can do everything. A little bit older, but still a great prospect, great runner.
You killed me. I thought he'd fall to 112. I thought you'd go Jefferson, and that's the game you play in these drafts. So if there's a player that you want, right, like redoing this, I probably would have taken Keyshawn Vaughn over CeeDee. And then if you took CeeDee Lamb here at 111, I would have been fine taking the same player at 112, Justin Jefferson, my wide receiver 3. Great spot in Minnesota. I think Adam Thielen is still going to be the 1A, but I think Jefferson's got a chance to be 1 lowercase a. And if not, by the end of the season, we start to see that talent and that skill set win out. But damn, I thought I'd get Vaughn. So recap, round 1, Tua, Burrow, Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, Justin Herbert, Jalen Reagor, CeeDee Lamb, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Justin Jefferson. That's round 1. Round 2, 201. Jordan, where you going?
201. Man, this is an easy one for me. It's got to be Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is easily the best rail runner in the class. If you could start off a draft with Joe Burrow or Tua Tagoviloa and Jerry Jeudy in your Superflex league, you will go from worst to first quickly and in a hurry. Those 2 guys are 2 dynamic players. Both could be one to their position in 2 or 3 years easily. Even though there still is Courtland Sutton there, there's still lots of room for targets. Obviously, now Drew Lock is a huge riser. He's going to be drafted as a QB1 pretty much all offseason, no questions asked. And I think being tied to Jeudy is an excellent spot for him. Going to have to take Jeudy there at 201 with that great route running. And after the catchability, he'll be doing crossing routes a lot in Denver.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Jeudy. They drafted Hamler, they drafted Albert O, they still have Courtland Sutton. There's a lot of pass catching competition in Denver, and I still don't know how high of a pass volume offense that's going to be. But if you're telling me that Jerry Jeudy is going to fall to the 2nd in a Superflex league, I think that's an absolute steal. So can't knock that. And right here at 202, I am going to take Joe Burrow's new AJ Green, T. Higgins. Great landing spot for T. My wide receiver 5 pre-draft lands in a fantastic spot. He'll take over for AJ Green after this season. Love what they're doing in Cincinnati, building there. So T. Higgins here at 202.
Yeah, man, I like that spot a lot. I wasn't a huge fan of T going in. I know I had him outside of my top 10 just barely, but I really, really came around on him. And obviously being tied to Joe Burrow, he should be the alpha probably by next season. Like you're saying, they'll get rid of AJ Green, no problem. Then I guess we're at 203 now. Wow, this is going by really quick. I think that I'm going to have to roll with Brandon Aiyuk. And while I wasn't the biggest fan of Aiyuk, I think that this spot is pretty much as good as it gets for him. Shanahan loves those guys who can catch the ball and take it to the house, and I think this is where he's going to be utilized for his best traits, his explosive ability. He'll be getting the ball in reverses, I'm sure, all the time. And then he'll be running a lot of crossing routes, getting the ball on screens, getting the ball over the middle. And then obviously he can still go deep. He can still burn you. He can still take you for a post or a deep route and just go completely over the top and blow it up. Even though Jimmy throws the ball short a lot, I think Aiyuk's going to be a great complement in that offense. It just may take a couple of years for him to really develop his skill set.
Yeah, I'm still trying to really figure out the Aiyuk spot. He's in a great offense, and I don't think he overtakes Debo or Kittle for those roles. I mean, he's definitely not going to do that. And then you still have the pass-catching running backs out of the backfield. Everyone's high on Jalen Hurd. I mean, everybody can't get the fucking ball in San Francisco, but right here at 203, I think Aiyuk is appropriately placed. And I'm going to go with a player who I feel like is going to be the alpha for his team. Not in 2020, but 2021, we can definitely see it happen. And I am going to go with Michael Pittman Jr., the wide receiver, Indianapolis Colts, USC guy. Pittman was my wide receiver 7 pre-draft, and I think he lands on a fantastic spot outside of T.Y. Hilton, who's, 30, 31 years old. What's his competition? Paris Campbell, who can't stay healthy, Zach Pascal, Darius Fountain. I'm not concerned. I think Pittman is going to play this year. I think he's going to slot in as the wide receiver 2 for Indy. And by 2021, he's going to be the alpha in that offense. So right here at 204, Michael Pittman Jr.
Man, that's a dope spot to get Pittman. I think that he's going to be an absolute alpha. And then the other thing that I don't know if you mentioned it or not, because I wasn't listening all that much, was taking Jacob Eason later on. And he's going to go – him and Michael Pittman could be an absolute dynamic duo at the next level. And I can't wait to see them get a chance together. But at 205, where I'm going to have to roll here is a little bit – I still don't love the spot, but I think I'm going to have to take him here. And it's Henry Ruggs III. Obviously, with that draft capital going 112 to the Raiders, he's going to be blowing the top off for out in Las Vegas all season long. He's going to be a little bit boomer bust, but I think at 205, you're getting him at a good value. And whenever you can get a first-round talent in the second round of your rookie drafts, you're probably doing it right. Unless you're drafting John Ross. But I don't think Henry Ruggs and John Ross. I think he's stronger at the catch point. I think he's a better route runner. And I think his play speed plays better than John Ross's did. And that's why I'm taking Henry Ruggs at 205.
All right. Love it. And I love my pick at 206 a lot better than that one. And I'm going to take the wide receiver 1 for the New York Jets, tethered to a 23-year-old quarterback, Sam Darnold. Denzel Mims. I think that was a fantastic landing spot for him. And say what you want about Adam Gase and the Jets, they had a hell of a draft. Investing in offensive line, getting Sam Darnold weapons and protection was the smart move to play. They've got a slot receiver in Jamison Crowder. You've got your deep threat in Bashard Perryman, and then you've got your number 1 receiver in Denzel Mims. So I think that was a fantastic landing spot for Mims. And right here at 206, I really considered him at 202. So to get him at 206, I think it was a slam dunk, press the button, Denzel Mims, 206. Who you got at 207?
I'm surprised you took him there. I'm surprised you're not a little bit worried about that AFC beast, man. If he's the number 1 playing against all those corners, that's 6 games a year. He's going to get bullied.
What
corners? Gilmore,
okay.
Tre'Davious White, Byron Jones, your boy Byron Jones.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Byron Jones.
Well, I'm just saying, man. That's 6 games a year. That could be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
But I don't think he's got to earn that respect of Gilmore and Trey White from day one. I don't think they're going to be shadowing, Denzel Mims from day one. And as good as those corners are, man, receivers win. And even if he's limited, targets are king. I want the guy who's getting the targets, who's got the opportunity. And, if 3 games a year he gets shut out, by Trey White, or 4 games a year he gets shut out by Trey White or Gilmore, fuck it. I'll take the other 14, 15, however many seat games are going to be in the new NFL. I'll take that production. And I think Mims has got a chance to be one of the best receivers in this class. So you're up, 207.
All right. So the funny part is who I thought you were taking wasn't who you actually took. See, I'm taking Bryan Edwards out of your Raiders. So when you talk about maybe not an alpha this year, maybe an alpha next year, that's where I really see Bryan Edwards really stepping up. Because for right now, yeah, he's looking like he may be a questionable prospect, especially with his draft capital. But when you talk about other guys there, you got Lynn Bowden, another slim, slender guy, can go over the middle, can run after catch. Henry Ruggs, blow the top off. Hunter Renfrow, same thing, slot mold. They don't have an alpha there, and they need to get one. And Bryan Edwards looks like he's going to be their guy. And so when you look at Ruggs in the first round, when you complement it with Lynn Bowden in the second round or in the third round, and then matching him up with Bryan Edwards as well, that's a dynamic trio of wide receivers, pairing him with Hunter Renfrow, obviously Josh Jacobs. Derek Carr might actually be a bit of a sleeper right now, and I think that Bryan Edwards for sure for 2021 is going to be the guy.
Yeah, they've already come out and said that LBJ, and I'm not talking about LeBron James, Lynn Bowden Jr. is going to be like more of a running back. So I think that was a great spot to get Edwards, and I considered him, like him a lot. My Raiders, I think they hit a home run with that pick, and I think he's going to be the steal of rookie drafts, the steal of the NFL draft probably.
No question.
Where we at 208. So right here, there's a little bit of a tier break for me. And when there's a tier break like that, and I don't really want to reach for a player right now, then it's Superflex. So I'm going to go quarterback, and I'm going to take Jacob Eason right here. I think he landed in a great situation. You've got a running game, an offensive line, a front office who knows what they're doing, and two quarterbacks who can be gone after the season, essentially on one-year deals that he can learn and develop for. He isn't probably going to play this year. It's Phillip Rivers. It's Jacoby Brissett. But after that, I think that the Indianapolis Colts can completely give the reins to Jacob Eason, who's a very talented, a highly touted prospect out of high school, produced at the Power 5 level at Washington, and a fourth-round pick. Superflex, I think here, tier break for me. I'll take him at 208. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit. I could have gotten him a little bit later, but I want to secure my quarterbacks, and he's got a chance to be behind one of the best offensive lines in football. So I'll take Jacob Eason here at 208.
Yeah, man, when you're talking about just like straight up competent front offices, the Colts have absolutely knocked out of the park straight, like probably 2 or 3 straight drafts in a row. And so I totally understand that. Easton's going to be a great player at the next level. But for me here, the guy I'm going to take is a little bit risky, but at this point, there's no risk as far as I'm concerned. Like, there's still a bunch of talented players, but I got to take Laviska Shenault out of Jacksonville. I think that even for us, we're sleeping on him a little bit because of what he can do after the catch. He's not going to be the alpha there, which I think is actually good for him. He won't see top coverage. He'll be able to run more crossing routes. He'll be able to take on more screens and have Shark blow the top off the defense all the time. And then as well, Gardner Minshew, he's not a bad quarterback. People thought he might get replaced in the offseason. Obviously, now that process is basically almost over, and Minshew's still standing there. I think they're going to be a great pairing together, and I'm more than happy to get Shenault here.
Yeah, I think, Gardner Minshew is somebody I talked about in the reaction show. He's safe for 2020. He's the quarterback, and if he performs well, he's going to get a deal and be the guy. And what he does well is distribute the ball all over the place. And Laviska, his skill set really fits Jacksonville's offense. It just sucks that he's only going to play like 8 games out of the year because he's always fucking hurt. So here at the 210 spot, I am ecstatic to get this player. Playing in the rival NFC East division, but I'm taking Antonio Gibson, who Washington already came out and said he's going to play running back for us, running back wide receiver hybrid. So, Bryce Love, injury prone. Darius Geis, injury prone. AP, old as shit. Peyton Barber, terrible. So when you're looking at competition, if Antonio Gibson can't carve out a role with those guys, then he just ain't it. But Ron Rivera is coming from a place where he had Christian McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel. He knows how to use these type of weapons. I think it makes a great fit for Antonio Gibson. And I'm making a little bit of a risk because there's another player that I want that I don't think you'll take. So I think I'll be able to get him here at the end of the second. So you're up at 211.
All right, at 211, I'm going to have to take your boy Darrington Evans out of Appalachian State. I absolutely love his landing spot to be the replacement for Dion Lewis. Obviously, we got King Henry there taking up 2, 3, maybe even 400 carries if the Titans would allow it. But I absolutely love him as a change of pace back. I love what he can do both inside and outside, and he's a bit of an underrated pass catcher. He's going to be an absolute weapon for the Titans, who frankly don't have enough of them, and I love his spot there to get him right at the back of the second round.
So unlike last year or the year before when people were hyping Alex Barnes, this is a running back behind Derrick Henry that's actually talented, that will play, that will get on the field, and he's an immediate upgrade over Dion Lewis. So I love the Darrington Evans pick here. And, if Derrick Henry, if King Henry somehow gets injured, Evans can be able to step in and fill in. Not the same way that Derrick Henry wins, but out of the backfield, definitely so. And my guy did fall to me, and I think he's got a shot, a realistic shot to be the running back one on this team sooner rather than later, and that's Anthony McFarland. I love the landing spot of Pittsburgh. I love it. James Conner, Matt Kelly, one of my friends in this industry, he said it best on his recent podcast. Great story. He beat cancer. We love it. Fuck cancer. Hate it.
Facts.
It's a great story, but great stories don't score fantasy points. And James Conner just can't stay healthy. He had a fantastic season 2 years ago, but he's just battling injury. The way he plays, the way he runs is so physical. So, even from day one, I think McFarland might be his backup. Benny Snell is garbage. Jalen Samuels is a pass catching back. He is not a running back. We tried that experiment for 2 years, 3 years. He's just not it. So I think Anthony McFarland brings that pop, that juice to the table. And before we know it, he could be taking those snaps and those reps as RB1 in Pittsburgh. So I'll take him here at 212. And a quick recap: Jerry Jeudy, T. Higgins, Brandon Aiyuk, Michael Pittman, Henry Ruggs, Denzel Mims, Brian Edwards, Jacob Eason, Laviska Shenault, Antonio Gibson, Darrington Evans, and Anthony McFarland. And as we get into round three, this is where people are like, okay, what do I do in round three? What do I do in round four? So, rounds one, a little bit chalky there. Keyshawn Vaughn went in, Jerry Jeudy slipped out. Round two, there was a couple of, Jacob Eason, Ray, you really did it that early. But round three, here we go. This is where it's going to get fun. So 301, you're up.
Man, this is going to be a free-for-all. And it's just because there's so much talent in day 1 and 2 of the NFL draft. When you get to day 3 and 4, it's kind of a crapshoot. There's so many good landing spots that have been taken up, and now you just got to kind of navigate the waters. But for me, I think I'm going to take Jalen Hurts, second-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. I was honestly surprised you didn't take him in the second round because I know that you were hyping him up in the second round before. But honestly, the truth is Carson Wentz can't stay healthy. And even when the Eagles were asked about it, they said, well, what if one of our quarterbacks gets COVID-19 when they start the season? That is a realistic possibility.
What?
I mean, I don't know if it was something I saw that wasn't true and someone just threw that out there, but it is a realistic possibility. What if your star running back gets quarantined? What if your star quarterback gets quarantined? It's crazy. I know it's the third round. Things get crazy now.
Of all the things that would yield opportunity, I mean, that would be the first thing that comes to mind, but okay.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like Rudy Gobert, he's starting center for the Jazz.
All right, so who did you pick? Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts.
All right.
Yeah, 301, Jalen Hurts.
All right, 302. Oh, I'm going to take Zach Moss, running back for the Buffalo Bills. And not the biggest Zach Moss fan, but he is a running back. He's playing in Buffalo with Devin Singletary. They have similar draft capital. Zach Moss is bigger. He's a thicker built back. But it's Buffalo. It's not a high pass volume offense. It's cold in November and December and January. They're going to have to run the ball. Frank Gore is gone, and I just don't think they're going to give Devin Singletary, 70% of the carries, 80% of the carries. So I think the landing spot actually hurts both of their upside, Moss and Singletary. But if anything happens to Devin Singletary, Zach Moss can fill in a similar fashion. He can catch the ball in the backfield, bang between the tackles. And, just like Singletary doesn't have like explosive juice, but has just enough to pull away and rip off some gains. So here at 302, I'll take Zach Moss.
Yeah, man, that's a good pick. And another nugget about Gore is he got 61% of the goal line carries in Buffalo. So if Zach Moss can eat those up, that's a big point, especially for fantasy points. It's touchdowns, man. That's all it is. And so for me at 303, I'm going to take the running back who has the very small chance to be relevant this season, and that's A.J. Dillon out of Boston College. For some reason, the Packers just they just couldn't get it right this draft. They took Jordan Love in the first round. People scratched their heads. AJ Dillon in the second round, despite having Aaron Jones, who led the league in touchdowns last year. I just don't see how AJ Dillon is completely irrelevant in 2020. But then if they keep him around for 2021 as well, he's going to have a role, whether he replaces Jonathan Williams or he even replaces Aaron Jones. You never know. But he's going to have a role at some point. Obviously, the front office liked him enough to take him in the second round. So I'm rolling with AJ Dillon here.
All right, AJ Dillon, not a big fan of him, but he was drafted by Green Bay, and it doesn't seem like there's a long-term commitment to Aaron Jones yet. So very well could be the case that he might see work this year. He's probably better than Jamal Williams, so there's a chance that he actually sees work this year. Here at 304, I'm going to go back to the quarterback well. Again, it's Superflex. And the fact that a first-round quarterback, even though he's not going to play this year, people are talking about 3-4 years down the line. Aaron Rodgers may be like, fuck y'all, I'm out of here. You haven't given me any help. Big winner would take back-to-back Packers. Allen Lazard, I'm not joking. Go get Allen Lazard. I mean, he wasn't bad last year, and it looks like he's going to be the WR2 for that team this year. So I'm going to take Jordan Love. It's super flex to get a first-round quarterback in the third round. I think that's a steal. So not particularly a fan of the player himself, but the cheapest place to get quarterbacks is in the draft. So it doesn't get much cheaper than 304.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think I put you on a little bit there by talking about him with my last pick, but definitely, he's a guy who's going to slip in drafts, and there's just no reason for it. He's still a first-round quarterback, and at some point, you got to be willing to pull the trigger, and at this point, I'm totally with you. But at my next spot, which I believe is is it 305 or 307? Okay,
5.
All right. So at 305, I'm going with one of my guys who I'm a big fan of, even though he didn't get the draft, or he did get the draft capital, but KJ Hamler out of Penn State. The biggest problem with KJ Hamler, honestly, is just his size. Everything else he can do really well. He can run really good routes. He has really great deep speed, but his size just isn't there. And so he gets those comps to Mecole Hardman. He gets those comps to, I think he should get comps more to Hollywood Brown in some respects. He's just not quite as dynamic. But I think he runs pretty good routes. His hands aren't the best. He's a bit of a body catcher. But I think when he's going to be catching bombs down the middle from Drew Lock, he's going to have no problem reeling those in, coming up high. He tracks the ball fairly well. And in my opinion, he's a pretty good route runner, has a really good release off the line. And obviously that deep speed just can't be touched. So that's why I'm rolling with KJ Hamler here in the third.
All right, yeah. And again, a lot of target competition in Denver, but you could have some of that upside, right? All right, here at the 306 spot, I am going to go with – who do I want to take? I just saw the name and forgot. Oh, that's right. I believe he was taken in the second round by Pittsburgh. I'm going to chase Claypool, and I'm going to make the gamble that he's converted to tight end at some point. I don't know how I feel about him. I don't think he's better than Miles Boykin. They're the same similar style of receiver out of Notre Dame. Don't think he's better at Miles Boykin at playing the receiver position. But Pittsburgh, the track record of developing wideouts should never be in question. Emmanuel Sanders, Hines Ward, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, the list goes on and on and on and on. So whenever Pittsburgh drafts a receiver, whether I like him or not, I'm going to pay attention. So to get a second-round pick here in the third, 306 spot, middle of the third, that has a chance to convert to tight end and be a top 10 tight end in the league, I'm going to take Chase Claypool here. Feel good about it.
Yeah, man, can't disagree with any point. That was like a nightmare draft scenario for me just because I wasn't a big fan of Claypool. But when the Steelers draft someone, you have to pay attention. And so with my 307 pick, I'm going with Van Jefferson, the wide receiver who got drafted to the Rams, I believe in the third round. And the biggest thing for him is he can just run excellent routes. So he's a perfect fit for Sean McVay's offense. If he can get past Josh Reynolds on the depth chart, even though the Rams are a little bit questionable as far as wide receiver threes goes, they have been productive in the past. And so it's really just whether or not they want to bring in a deep threat to replace Brandon Cooks or roll with Woods and Kupp and all those guys. And then whether it's Reynolds or Van Jefferson, that wide receiver 3 on the Rams should be relevant. And so that's why I'm rolling with Van Jefferson here.
Can't knock it. And I saw somebody tweet something today that it may signal that they're not going to pay Cooper Kupp. which would shock me. But I
Damn.
mean, they do the similar. They do the same. They're the same type of receiver. So I don't know. We'll see about that one. I don't know if I would let Cooper Kupp walk. Especially how close him and Goff are. But here at the 308 spot, here's the thing. Once you hit these rounds, late third, fourth, it's get your guy season. And for me, it's get running backs because it's the most fragile position outside of tight end. And I think Joshua Kelly landed in a great spot with the Los Angeles Chargers. Yes, Austin Eckler is safe this year or should be safe in his role, but even last year, they didn't like bang Austin Eckler as a pure running back between the tackles. Like he made his hay in the receiving game. So Josh Kelly is really competing with Justin Jackson, who I'm not a fan of whatsoever. I don't like his running style. I don't think he's very good. I think he's going to supplant Justin Jackson sooner rather than later and be the RB2. And he's going to there's a chance that he gets 30% of the fucking carries this year one, Josh Kelly, in that high-powered offense with those wide receivers. Late in drafts, take shots on running backs, stash. Boston Scott was getting run last year. I mean, running backs, they just dropped like flies towards the end of the season. So give me Joshua Kelly, decent draft capital, sub 4.5 40-yard dash, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons at UCLA, and lands in a great situation with the Los Angeles Chargers. Josh Kelly, 308.
Man, I can't hate that at all. I really like Josh Kelly quite a bit when I was watching him on tape. So for me at 309, I'm going to have to go with one of my personal favorite receivers, and that's Antonio Gandy-Golden, fourth-round pick to the Washington Redskins. And really, it's just because, to me, he just dominates out there. He's going to be a touchdown machine if he can get on the field. He'll have to compete with a few guys over there in Washington. But really, as far as I'm concerned, it's a wide-open field behind Terry McLaurin. And so I believe there's Kelvin Harmon there. There's Steven Sims there. So there's a couple guys there that he'll have to get past on the depth chart. But if he can win that wide receiver 2 role in Washington, he could definitely see fantasy relevance next season.
He's not going to be the wide receiver 2 in Washington. I don't think he's better than Kelvin Harmon. I don't think he's better than Steven Sims. But right here at this spot, I think it's get your guy season. And if Antonio Gandy-Golden is your guy, you couldn't have asked for a more, as you alluded to, open situation for him to try to seize that opportunity, right? Like, all you have to do is beat out Kelvin Harmon and Steven Sims, and really not even Sims because he's a slot receiver. So beat out Kelvin Harmon and you're number 2. I'm just concerned about Haskins. I'm concerned about that offense.
Yeah.
But it's Ron Rivera. It's the 309 spot, and it's your guy. You got to get your guy. And I don't hate it at all. At 310, I'm going back to the well again. I'm going running back, and I'm going DJ Dallas, the running back from the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's a talented runner who was underutilized at Miami. Miami wasn't a good team, but he lands with Seattle. Chris Carson, perpetually injured. Rashad Penny, I don't know if he's good or not. They're probably going to get out of Chris Carson after this season. Chris Carson is probably going to get hurt at some point in this season. So I think he's got to beat out Travis Homer, his former Miami Hurricanes teammate. Homer's not it. He's not an NFL running back. He doesn't have the size for that. DJ Dallas fits that size profile, so I like the landing spot for him, and we all know Seattle likes to run the ball. So I'll take DJ Dallas at 310.
All right, so at 311, I'm going to round out my draft with one of my favorite sleeper running backs, La'Mical Pirine, who got drafted to the New York Jets. And the main reason why is because Le'Veon Bell is not going to be the guy there for very long. And if, for all we know, Michael Pirine could be the guy. And for some reason, Adam Gase doesn't like Bell. Bell doesn't like Gase, even though he was productive, really just sheerly on volume. If Bell does get hurt, Pirine might end up being that running back 2 right out of the gate, and he can catch the ball. He can obviously run between the tackles. He can do a bit of everything, and I would call him a Jonathan Taylor light. He doesn't have the speed, not as elusive, but he can catch passes if need be. He can pass block pretty well, and obviously out of Florida is a place that I really like to get my players. I'm a big Florida fan. Obviously, after Van Jefferson as well. There's a lot to like about Pirine, and I think that he could be a great player if given the opportunity.
And I didn't think about that landing spot. Who's the backup behind Bell right now?
Ooh, behind Bell, I'm not too sure. They
I don't
did
even
have
know.
Who was the guy they had? They had Elijah McGuire at one point. I don't know if he's still there.
They had Bilal Powell.
Yeah.
I don't know who's even behind Bell. So I mean, he could be the RB2 there like right away. So I don't hate it at all. I think that's a hell of a spot to grab a running back. At 312, I do not advocate for drafting tight ends even this early in this class. I don't think the tight ends are very good. I'd rather wait until 2021. Got something coming about that very soon. Stay tuned. But at 312, if you are going to take a tight end who's catching passes from Drew Brees. And I'm going to go Adam Troutman here. I think he landed in a prime spot. I know Jared Cook is still there, but I think that kid, he's a very talented tight end. And to land with New Orleans Saints, I think that's a fantastic spot. So I'm going to round it out with Adam Troutman. So recap, third round, Jalen Hurts, Zach Moss, A.J. Dillon, Jordan Love, K.J. Hamler, Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, Josh Kelly, Antonio Gandy Golden, DJ Dallas, LaMichael Pirine, and Adam Troutman. So there you go. That's 3 rounds, Superflex, PPR, instant, right after the draft reaction. And this is fluid. It's going to change. It's going to evolve. I don't know how much. And, maybe Keyshawn Vaughn is a little lower or higher for some. Maybe Jacob Eason was taken a little bit higher. I don't think there's anything too shocking. More so than anything, if I had to give a wholesale recommendation or piece of advice, is try to cash in on a couple of those second-round picks, because I think there's a lot of talent falling to the second. Players like Darrington Evans, players like Anthony McFarland, Jacob Eason, that Bryan Edwards. Oh my gosh, if you walk away with Bryan Edwards at the 207, that's a home run hit, right? So every league is different. Read your league, know your league, stay locked into the Destination Devy YouTube channel. We got more great content coming your way. Make sure you're following my man Jordan at your boy Jay Rich on Twitter. You know where to find me at RayGQ. And until next time, we are out. Peace.
Peace, guys.